Before we get into today's video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel down below. You follow us on our TikTok, our Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube is just down there in the description button. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. And thank you guys and enjoy the video. Welcome in everybody. It's Devil's Den episode number 11. Chris, how are we feeling today, my man?
Feeling pretty good. Not feeling too great about the past couple games, but I think it's been a positive last couple of weeks for United in terms of signings, squad building, and everything. So I think it's a net
we
positive.
were at MetLife too. We were at MetLife at the Arsenal
there.
game, so that was a very fun experience.
Yeah,
and a vlog out should be out already by now. And today we're going to be discussing some big things. But before we get into that, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. I know we already said it, but please subscribe. Go to our Instagram, like everything. And today we're going to be discussing some interesting things. So we've just signed Rasmus Hojlund, according to Fabrizio Romano. It's not been officially confirmed. Maybe by the time this comes out, it'll be officially confirmed by the club. But Fabrizio has given the here we go. So we're going to discuss how that impacts the squad and the rest of the season. And then we're also going to talk about the preseason and just overall how it's been in the last couple of weeks or so, just because we haven't been on here for a hot minute. But we're also going to be discussing a potential last signing of the summer for Manchester United, which we'll get into later. And then we're going to be talking about something a little bit controversial at the end, something we've kind of strayed away from. But I think we have to kind of, face it and talk about it. And we'll talk about that later, but I'm not going to tell you what it is quite yet. So, Chris, starting off with Rasmus Hojlund. We saw Fabrizio reported the here we go, the official here we go. And, when you see the here we go, it's done. So, it said Manchester United will start preparing the documents. He said this recently. So, Manchester United will start preparing the documents and paperwork today in order to get Rasmus Hojlund deal signed and sealed early next week. Hojlund already spoke. That's this week, by the way. Hojlund already spoke more than 3 times to Erik Ten Hag, and he's ready to sign until June 2028 with an option for 2029. Rasmus Hojlund to Manchester United is a here we go agreement reached with Atalanta. The package will be around 70 million euros with add-ons, and the club's preparing documents in the next 24 hours. Hojlund has agreed to a 5-year deal. He only wanted Manchester United. Okay, man. So, what are your initial thoughts on us signing Rasmus Hojlund?
I love it. I really love it. I think it's really what we needed in terms of position. Striker and goalkeeper were obviously the two number ones, and we got both of them. Striker, I think we've seen a lot this past season, past many seasons. We're really lacking that clinical number 9 target man striker. Quick, physical. Hojlund really ticks off all the boxes that we need in terms of what a striker would bring to our team. And even over preseason, we've seen Sancho testing out false 9, but we need a out-and-out number 9 target man, and Hojlund brings that to the team right away.
Yeah, I think he's exactly what Erik Ten Hag wants in a striker. He can link up play really well. We saw his hold-up play is really good. And some of the comps we've seen, he just is really strong and physical. He's 6'3". He's Scandinavian. He's really quick. He's just kind of a natural freak. And when you have a player like Rasmus Hojlund, who's up top and he's shielding the ball, and you've got runners in behind like Rashford running from the left side, hopefully Anthony next season on the right side, maybe Sancho behind him, or Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes as well. I think it could be a really good pair because he could play. We could play a long ball to him from Andre Onana, for example, and then he shields it, plays it down to Bruno Fernandes, who plays it out wide to Luke Shaw or Rashford, and then he runs in the box, makes a darting run because he's got that ability to be really quick and be the fox in the box, if you will. And I don't know if you saw the Denmark games, but he was getting on a lot of those crosses and he was getting in those positions that you see Haaland kind of make those moves. And I don't want to make those, those comparisons to a certain Scandinavian from Norway, but I will say he's got the natural ability. He's got the height. I'm interested to see how it works out because he only scored 9 goals last season in the Serie A. But the Serie A, to be fair, it's a very tough league, and he was a teenager all of last year. So 19-year-old getting 9 goals, I think is actually pretty impressive, and 20 starts as well. He also, when you look at the Euros, he's been playing really well for Denmark in the Euros. I think he had 4 goals in like 2 games or something crazy like that. But I know he leads. He's tied with Lukaku for the most goals in the Euro qualifiers at 6. So I mean, I don't know if that tells you. I think that should tell you a lot as well because he's doing it on the international stage, and he's got bags of potential. This Rasmus Hojlund, dude, I don't want to give him too many expectations right away, but Rasmus Hojlund, I could see him being a fantastic striker for Manchester United, and he's only 20 years old, so he's got plenty of time. His time is on his side. I'm just super excited. I'm ecstatic for it. And Chris, I don't know if you saw, I saw some stats on Twitter that Rasmus Hojlund's top speed is actually already faster than everyone in our squad. You got last year was like 34.76. Luke Shaw's last year was 34.85 kilometers per hour. Anthony's was 35.29. Delo's was 35.76. Rashford 35.95. And Hojlund at the top was 35.97 kilometers per hour. That's for 6'3", and he's not a skinny guy either. You know, he's got some heft to him. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the squad. Chris, do you think with Hojlund you're getting a 20-goal a season striker, or do you think he's more of a links up the play, gets assists and goals, or what do you think? What do you think he's going to do contribution?
I think we've created so many chances that could have been converted last season, such as like, you know, tap-ins, like free kicks, crosses, like so many things. Like we needed a hitman to get on the end of these things, and Hojlund brings that. I think look at Bruno Fernandes, for example. Like he creates so many chances that we don't convert because we don't have the clinical finish in us. When we bring Hojlund in, he's going to be on the end of a lot of those crosses, a lot of those through balls, and he's going to convert them. So I don't want to give him the expectation of you have to hit 20 goals, but if he does, like, I will not be surprised because I think he'll really bring that like finishing edge and finishing touch that we've desperately needed this past season and past many years.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes, like you said, creates so many chances for the strikers. And when you look at some of the through balls we've seen from Bruno Fernandes throughout the years, Rashford's gotten on so many of those chances. He's really quick, and it works out. But Anthony Martial, he's more of a hold-up play. And I don't know. I think Martial's lost a little bit of his speed. So, and also, again, we don't really get to see him play often because he's always injured. And so you look at a Wout Weghorst, who we had last year as our striker. I know it's crazy to think we're going from Wout Weghorst to Rasmus Hojlund, one of the up-and-coming strikers, which is, for me, I think it's a phenomenal move. And if we can do what we did last year, getting third place with Wout Weghorst as our starting forward, and well, for the most part, starting forward in the second half of the season, along with David De Gea as our goalkeeper, I think the sky is the limit with Andre Onana and Hojlund, because even in the 2 games, although, like you said earlier, the preseason has kind of simmered out in terms of we haven't really been playing as well. At least in the Real Madrid game, we didn't really play that well. But Dortmund, I don't think we're awful, but I think just those really bad errors really messed us up. And Andre Onana, for me, was insanely encouraging with some of his passing. And it wasn't just his short passing, too. He had some really good long balls into Rashford and Bruno. And I can't wait to see Hojlund on the end of some of those, because some of them could be through balls. Some of them could be ones that he's going to bring down with his chest and then invite Sancho or Rashford, like I said earlier, to get in behind. And I don't know, man. I'm really excited to see how it turns out. Like you said, I'm not going to put too many expectations on Hojlund's season this upcoming year, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if he bags 20 in all comps and maybe 5-10 assists, which I think that would be a successful season for a 20-year-old coming to Manchester United, because when you come to Manchester United and you are told you're the guy at 20 years old, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. So a lot more weight than other teams, especially even, I'd say it's one of the biggest roles in all of world football. So I think, yeah, he's got a lot of expectations, unfortunately, but I think he'll do quite well. So
yeah, I want to just highlight again on the transfer market in general for us this season, because look at the past couple strikers that we've signed. We've signed like Cavani and Ronaldo, all 30 plus. I don't know how old Weghorst was, but I mean Lukaku, I don't think was that old. He had some high expectations, but this is the first time in a long time I feel that we've signed an up and coming striker, 20 years old, who has what is the deal till 2028? Fabrizio said like
Yeah.
he has a lot of
Option
time
for
now.
2029.
Yeah, like he has a lot of time now to adapt to the team and become a long term out and out number 9. Like this could be our starting striker for the next like 5 or 6 years. That's really important for what Ten Hag wants to do and build his squad around like these young players that are going to be there for the long term. So I think it's really smart that we signed Hoyland. And I know there's a lot of talk about like Harry Kane too. Like we were thinking of signing him. He's also 30. I wouldn't be opposed to have signed him, but I think signing Hoyland just shows that Ten Hag has this long-term vision and he wants to really have this solid spine of players that can be there for the long term. I think that's really important for us.
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, I think actually that although yes, if we signed Harry Kane, like many of us thought, he could probably propel us to being title contenders. But for me, I don't know. I look at our squad depth yesterday in the Dortmund match, and I still don't see it fully with like the midfield and even the defense. I think we need another right center back as well. So I think we're still not fully there because I'm not. I'd like to be title challenging next season. Don't get me wrong. I'd like that, but I'm not entirely sold that we are going to be challenging for the title. So the year after, let's say we don't sign a right center back for the rest of the summer. We keep Maguire, which I'm starting to think is going to happen because I think we're actually going to be in for a right center back next season because there are a lot of really good ones that are probably going to be on the market next season. You're Antonio Silva's Diamande, I think is how you pronounce it, from Sporting. Some really good up-and-coming center backs that if we get a hold of one of them as well, that could be a title charge the season after. And that could be a sustained thing too. That could be a 3 to 5 year thing. If you get Kane, you're probably challenging for the title next year, the year after, even the year after, but it's not really a long-term thing. I think with Hojlund, he makes more sense financially, and over time, he could even end up being better than Kane somehow. And I know that's a lot to say. Like we're not trying to put those expectations on him, but I see a lot of potential in this kid. And if Ten Hag molds him into the striker he wants to have, I think the sky's the limit, man. Sky's the limit with this team. And I think, like we've said, there's a lot of young players in there. Rashford's only 25 still. Sancho, what is he, 23, 22? Yeah, Facundo Pellistri, Mainu, Ahmad, a lot of young players in there that could develop into first-team players. So I think this is a really good signing, personally. I'd rate this, I don't know, if I was giving it a rating out of 10, I would say the Hojlund signing would be, I'd say an 8, because it'd be a good compliment if we got Kane and Hojlund. But again, financially, I don't really think that's going to happen. And I also, if you think financially, I don't really think we're getting as ripped off as people say we are. Because I believe it's 85 million if all the add-ons happen, but I think like 10 million of the add-ons were like really tough ones. So it's probably going to be like 75 million euros, which is what, like 64 million pounds, something like that. So I really, in today's market with the structure, I really don't think it's that bad of a deal, honestly. So I could see it making sense for us in the long term, and no one's going to really be questioning the price when he's his potential, So, Chris, what would you rate the signing out of 10?
Yeah, I would rate the signing an 8 also. I think given his age and experience, it's not too great, but he is one of the like up and coming young strikers of this generation. So I think we've obviously made a pretty hefty investment in him, but I think given what he's shown and what Ten Hag wants in a striker, I think he really fits well into our system, as we've said before, and I think he's going to come out good for us.
Yeah, I agree. And if we look at our preseason so far, we're going to move on to the preseason. Chris, we've played Leeds. We beat them, what was it, 2-0? I think 2-0, something like that.
2-0, yeah.
And then Lyon, we beat them 1-0. With both those games, though, we didn't really play most of our senior players. And then we went on and played Wrexham. No, it was Wrexham
Arsenal.
after.
It's Arsenal,
Arsenal.
I think, after Lyon.
Yeah. Arsenal
right?
was before.
Yeah.
Was it? No. They played Wrexham, then Arsenal, right?
No, it was Wrexham. It was Wrexham, then Real Madrid.
Ah, true,
That was
true.
I think
Okay.
I think after Lyon was Arsenal.
Okay, true.
I think.
Yeah. We were at that game, and it was a really good game. I
Yeah.
think even result aside, because again, we don't really truly care about the results. I know in the vlog we're going to say we do because
Yeah.
we're trolling, but at the end of the day, results don't really matter in the preseason. And if all these Twitter trolls really get to you, don't care. But I think the result aside, our performance was really good in the Arsenal match, and we
Mhm.
saw. For me, the standout performer, like I said in the vlog, was Kobe Mainu. And dude, it's so disappointing to see him go out so early in the Real Madrid match. I actually okay. I know he's just 18 or 19, however old he is, but he has such a big impact in the Arsenal match that as soon as he left the Real Madrid match, our midfield kind of just fell off, honestly. So when he comes back, he's gonna have such a good impact. And I think he said he's out for like 2 months or so, which could be worse, honestly. It could be worse, but I think Sancho, Manu, and Onana for me have been the MVP so far. Because in our last two matches, like we've said, the result wasn't really there. And Real Madrid, they got one gimmicky goal at the start, and then they got a freaking bicycle kick. Like, what are you gonna do? You know? And then against Dortmund, two huge mistakes at the start of the or end of the first half. And we were playing. Honestly, I thought we were playing better than Dortmund. Dortmund did not impress me at all. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that we haven't been playing horribly, but the last two matches have definitely been a downgrade. And I think Ten Hag has been saying in his press conferences that he knows that the boys need to wake up because they haven't been playing too well. But for me, Sancho has been one of the probably the MVP of our preseason tour so far, and he's looked really good, which is kind of sad because we're playing him in the center forward role, but we've got Hojlund now. So where do you think Sancho sort of fits into the team this season, Chris?
I think Sancho, given Hoyland will be up top, I think Sancho can. I don't think he'll start out on the right for us. I think he is gonna come to that like Bruno Fernandes attacking midfielder position because we've seen when he drops deep, he is really good at opening up space and linking up the forward play really well. I think he's also really good out on the right hand side as well. But I think dropping him to those like deeper pockets because like we've seen him drop deep a lot when he's been playing it as the false nine. So I think Ten Hag's going to want to employ him in that position. And when Hoyland doesn't play or when we're playing like Ten Hag wants to switch up tactics a little bit, we have that option to play Sancho as that false nine and play it a different style. So I think the versatility is definitely there. And I am excited to see Sancho this season. Hopefully we get a rejuvenated Dortmund-esque Sancho this year.
Yeah, he's blown my socks off this preseason in terms of the goal we saw that he scored at the Arsenal match.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had that in his locker because what was it? Gabriel missed. He whiffed on the kick from Manu.
It was a Manu pass.
Yeah, Manu played it deep, and then Gabriel just missed it. And then I still didn't think Sancho would have the pace to go ahead and
Turned on
finish.
the burners.
He turned the burners on, and they had a really nice finish at the end. A lot of people, that's not an easy finish.
No, not at all.
And I think what I've seen the most out of him this preseason, which again, we can't draw too many conclusions, but we've seen this before. We've seen glimpses of it last season, the season before. He thrives in those tight spaces, and he's really good at retaining the ball. So I think keeping him in linking up play, like you said. So I think keeping him in that, Bruno Fernandes midfield role, we're going to need to be interchanging them throughout the season. Mason Mount, Mason Mount, Sancho, and Fernandes. I think it's good to have substitutes there because that's a role where you're moving a lot, you're running a lot, so you're going to be running out of energy. And then also, I don't think it's going to happen because Ten Hag has this weird obsession with Antony, but I love Sancho on the right. At the end of the season last year, he looked so good on the right. And I'm not talking, he's not exactly a touchline winger because he doesn't have as much pace as a Rashford or even Antony. But I do think that when he comes inside, he can link up well with the striker. And I don't know if you remember the goal I think it was Martial scored against Chelsea in the 4-1 victory at Old Trafford. It was like some interplay between Sancho and someone else, and then Casemiro picked it up and he chips it over the Chelsea back line, and Sancho he was right on side. It was a perfect run. And then instead of shooting, which he could have shot and scored, but just unselfishly made the smart decision, passed it to Martial. I'd like to see him play just more centrally, even if he's playing on the right side, come inside and help out Hoyland. And I think that could be a good tandem as well. So we'll see if that works out next year. But I don't know. You know how I love Sancho, man. I'm really hoping he has a good season, and I think he will. So if anything, if we can take anything from his performances in the preseason, it's that he's going to be rejuvenated and he's going to be pretty lively, hopefully, at the start of the season, because it looks like, we're coming close, 2 weeks away or so from the first match against Wolves in the Premier League, and you want to have your best players in the preseason playing on the first match day. And Sancho has been one of those best players. So I think for me, I would say he has to start. And if you take that away from him, I think that'd be kind of foolish. But I don't know. We'll see how it all goes. Hojlund's going to be coming in soon. We're going to be playing, I think, Lens is the name of the French team we're playing soon at Old Trafford. And then we play Bilbao and
Atletico.
Atletico Bilbao. Where are they, though? I forgot where we were playing them. We're playing them in some other country.
They're also like back-to-back games.
Yeah.
So we might see like two different 11s play.
Yeah, that could be interesting. But yeah, Sancho for me has been just electric. And then in the Dortmund match as well, we saw some of the capabilities of Andre Onana. Oh my God, dude. It's just so refreshing because I was starting to think, and I said this a little bit in the podcast, but by the end of the season last year, I was starting to think, look, I know De Gea is not there, from a modern goalkeeper perspective of all the passing and whatnot, but he was starting to improve a little bit. And we can't deny that. But then I thought, I was like, all right, he's starting to pass better. And then I saw Onana last night, or I don't even remember what it was, the Dortmund match, and oh my God, dude, it's not that he just makes those short passes that pretty much every goalkeeper can make or should be able to make, but oh my God, he just plays incisive passes that open up. They stop the press pretty much, and I'm so excited for that because you know how many times last season you and I would have to see United be pressed down our throats, and then we lose the ball off some silly mistake, and probably De Gea was probably part of it, and now we have Onana, so I'm super pumped to see that work out this season.
There's one moment where I think we had lost the ball and Maguire didn't track his man, and Onana made a nice save. And he like sprinted to Maguire. I don't know if you saw, but he was like screaming at Maguire, and he was like saying like you have to follow your man. Like this is like how we're supposed to defend. And then he came out after the match. He was asked about it because obviously he's new to the team, and we see him like yelling at one of our other players, and he was like really really nice about it. He was just saying like Harry's a great player, and this is like how we want to play. And like I wasn't like being mean to him. I'm just like asserting that this is like what we should be doing, and that I think it shows great leadership that he's come right into the team and it's really like doing something like this. I think it's good for morale. Even though he's yelling at someone, I think it's good for morale that like we're like pushing each other to be better and everything. I think it's a really good sign for us.
Yeah, I think especially when you're coming in as that new signing, you need to assert yourself right away and show that, look, I know how to play as Ten Hag's systematic goalkeeper. And I've been with Ten Hag before. I know what he wants. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you if you're not doing what Ten Hag wants. And it worked out perfect because Ten Hag has been with Andre Onana. How many years was he with him? 2 or 3 years at Ajax? Mm-hmm. And I think they had a good connection there in terms of Onana knows what Ten Hag wants. And so if we have another general on the field, just like Lisandro Martinez, who's also been in Ten Hag's system before, that's only going to help us that much more. Because De Gea, look, again, we keep having to go back to this De Gea guy. We don't want to talk about him anymore. But he couldn't really deploy what Ten Hag wanted. And to be fully honest, I don't even know if he was listening when Ten Hag was telling him stuff in practice, because he just didn't seem to know what to do in terms of commanding his box. He didn't command a presence at all, really. I bet Maguire really didn't have much respect for De Gea. Maybe just as a professional they do, but in terms of Onana really asserting himself right away, I think that's a respect thing that Maguire should be able to understand. Look, this is not like a personal attack on me. He knows I'm a good player, but he needs to make sure that everyone is, not going below the standard. And that's something that we've seen drop off in the last, whatever 10 years since Fergie has left, the standard has just plummeted. So we're trying to build that standard back up of, look, you're my teammate, but when you F up, like, you need to know that you did, and you need to learn from that. So I think Onana, like you said, he could be a good leader already for the team, which is another good help. And one thing for me too, I think we do need, this is kind of a random sidebar, we do need a new signing in the midfield. And if you look back at the preseason, we saw Manu in the Real Madrid match get injured, unfortunately. Even Ahmad got injured, which he's not really center mid, but that's beyond the point. Anyways, Soyfan Amrabat has been reported by some Italian news reports. Gazzetta, I believe, is the Italian journal that said Manchester United are pressing to sign Soyfan Amrabat for 25 million euros. Whereas Fiorentina originally wanted 30 million euros, Fiorentina would probably accept 25 million plus some bonuses. Which for me, a 26-year-old who was in the Morocco side that did so well at the World Cup, and I know we haven't really known about him until the World Cup, but I don't know. I was definitely moved when I saw him. And then at the same time, when you hear that he had that connection with Ten Hag, just like Onana, playing, I think he played at Utrecht, I don't know how to pronounce it, FC Utrecht in the Netherlands with Ten Hag before, so he probably knows his system well. He probably knows what he wants. And I've been hearing reports, I don't know if they're completely true or not, that he's trying to hold out for Man U as well, just like Rasmus Hojlund. So I'm getting really excited because we got a lot of players that look like they want to come to join Ten Hag's project, and they can see that he's going somewhere, and I'm excited. And if Soyfan Amrabat signs, that's going to be huge just for, I think it could help Manu out too as well when he comes back, because it's a presence that doesn't put too much pressure on Manu to perform, but he'll be able to come back in when he's healthy and hopefully learn from the likes of Casemiro and Amrabat. But we haven't signed him yet. Chris, what are your thoughts on Amrabat as a player?
Yeah, I think he's really good. I think it'd be a great addition to our midfield as a whole, because look, we have Casemiro, Bruno, Mason Mount, which is our likely starting three midfield, and then you have as a backup three from like your Fred, McTominay, and maybe like Van de Beek. Now you have like Eriksen, Manu, and Amrabat. I think that's a really good upgrade, and I think that's good midfield depth that we can build on when we add those technically sound players to the midfield. I think that helps, because then when you don't play your strongest 11, you still have quality to bring on. That's we've obviously seen we've lacked in that department so much the past couple seasons, our depth. But I think Amrabat is a good cheap signing that if Fred is to leave, it's a great replacement for him, and someone who can play well in a pivot with Casemiro. I think it works well for all parties and does definitely improve our squad.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, Chris, but when I was watching the World Cup last year, I saw this match between, was it the semifinals between Morocco and France? Was that the semifinals or the quarterfinals?
Semifinals, I think.
Something like that, yeah. So in the World Cup match between France and Morocco in the semifinals this past January, or whenever it was, I saw Kylian Mbappe, one of the world's best players, if not the best player, one of the fastest players as well. He was making a darting run with the ball, and then this Moroccan guy came in, and he tracked back and tackled him and got the ball, turned around, and oh my gosh, Mbappe was just left clueless. And I was like, who is this guy? And it was Soyfan Amrabat. That guy, like, I'm telling you, he looks like he just puts everything on the line for you. And for me, I want somebody like that. He also looks like a leader out there whenever he's playing. So I think, yeah, if we add that to the midfield, oh my gosh, like, look at the midfield you have. You got Eriksen on your bench as well. You'll have Manu, hopefully, once he gets healthy, on the bench. Amrabat could be on the bench, or he could be a fringe starter with Mason Mount rotating between him, and because it could provide different options. If you need to be more defensive, you could have Amrabat and Casemiro. Even though I do trust Amrabat as well to get forward sometimes, and Casemiro can also be a threat in the box. So I think having Amrabat in there would be really helpful to give us those options to play in different ways and different styles and things. So I think it'd be a great signing, especially given the price. 25 million euros in this market, I don't know if he has 1 year left on his contract or something, but that seems like a bargain to me for how well he played at the World Cup and just how crazy you've seen some of the signings lately. You got Enzo Fernandez was like 120 million, and we knew about him for like 6 months. So I don't know. There's a lot of crazy fees out there that you've been seeing reported, but 25 million euros. If we can sell Fred and hopefully make maybe 15, 20 million, and then sell McTominay for 30, something like that, I think it would be great to go ahead and get Amrabat. And again, like if we make those sales, which I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm kind of concerned with the sales because we haven't really gone into that too much. But we sold Alanga and a few young players that weren't really first team players, but we haven't really sold many of the players that we thought we were going to sell because we had this huge list of players that we were like, all right, this guy's going to go, this guy's going to go, this guy's going to go, but only Alanga has gone. And are you starting to get worried? Because I'm kind of starting to get worried about Maguire's still at the club. It seems like he wants to stay. Fred's still at the club. We have no idea what's going on with him. McTominay is still at the club. What's going on? Like, what do you think on that whole situation?
Yeah, it's tough because we've said it before the window, if we want to have a high budget, we're going to need to sell players. And we've seen already that we've spent a lot of money, but we haven't really made any significant outgoings so far. So it's like, are we planning on selling these players if we can only sign replacements? It's like, what is the plan with getting rid of some of these? We haven't really seen any concrete. The only concrete links we've seen are for Fred. I think West Ham have shown interest in McTominay and Maguire, but really nothing for Van de Beek. Barely anything for Tella's left also. But even it's tough because like how you can make some decent money from these and you can sign a quality replacement, so you can put that money towards like a more expensive signing. But I feel like we haven't shown enough initiative in getting rid of some of these players. Are really like waiting to the end. If we keep them, then we have an inflated squad. Our wages are high. It's like it's tough. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I definitely do think we'll sell Fred. He's been the most concrete links to leave so far, and I feel like if we do sell Maguire, we would need to sign a replacement. But like you said earlier, I don't really see us signing another center back this window. For like McTominay, I wouldn't mind keeping him around, but I think we can make a decent profit off him. Like I've seen even like 40 million for him. I don't know if we can get that much, but I've seen that's how much we want to sell him for. West Ham obviously have a lot of cash on hand right now, so if they want to go for it, I don't see why they shouldn't. So there's definitely a lot of business to be made. We just haven't been quick enough with it. It's weird because in the past couple seasons we've never been quick enough with our incomings, and now we've signed 3 first team players within like a month, and we haven't made any significant outgoings. So it's kind of funny how it flipped this season.
Yeah, I mean, all before August, we've already signed a new starting goalkeeper, a new starting midfielder, a new starting striker. It is kind of weird. It doesn't seem like, we've talked about this before, it doesn't really seem like a very Glazer summer, to be honest. And I don't know if there's hints that, look, maybe this isn't the Glazers behind the scenes. Maybe someone's already bought the club and it just has to be processed. But I don't know. For me, it's crazy because we've spent around, 170 million pounds without the add-ons, something crazy like that. And if you're doing that, and you were told at the start of the summer, like we saw with reports, that Manchester United don't have as much money as we think, and they need to sell players before they can buy. I don't know if those reports were really that true, because I know there's financial fair play stuff being reported by some journalists, but all that stuff it's not very black and white, and it's very, for me, it's interesting that we've already bought these players, but we haven't really sold many players, because what have we made, like maybe 20 million total in selling, and we bought like 170 million dollars worth of players. So it's crazy because we were told, like you said, that we only had like 100 million or 120 million pounds or euros or whatever, and at this point we've already spent well over that, and we're rumored to keep spending, at least with Amrabat. And I don't know. I mean, these sales got to happen at some point, and even if we don't need to sell them necessarily, I think we do need to clear some space out of the club because of if you got a midfield where you've got Amrabat, let's say we sign Amrabat, and then we've got Amrabat, ManUtd, Eriksen on the bench already. That's already 3 midfielders. Then you've got McTominay still in there. You've got Fred still there. We don't really need 5 midfielders on the bench. And Van de Beek, true. I didn't even think about that. He probably needs somewhere to go as well. And then you got like Malacia, Brandon Williams, Luke Shaw, all in the left back spot. And it's just like, do we need 3 left backs? I don't know. I mean, maybe. But for depth-wise, some of these players, too, aren't really up to cut, in my opinion. I think McTominay, he provides a spark sometimes, and same with Fred, but they just don't do it for me consistently. And you want somebody coming off the bench like I think ManUtd off the bench could be really good this season. Same with Sancho. I remember when he first came back from the camp or whatever last season, he got sent to some mental health camp or something like that with Ten Hag. We didn't know the full details. But when he came back, he was initially coming off the bench. I think he scored in his first 2 or 3 games off the bench. So like sometimes having someone who can come on and make an impact like that is just more important. And I don't know. I just don't really see Fred and McTominay doing that for me off the bench, especially Maguire. If we're bringing in Maguire, whenever we bring in Maguire, it's always like, oh my God, we're gonna bottle this. We're gonna screw this up.
Look at Sevilla.
Yeah,
Maguire on at halftime.
It pisses me off every time. So we need to get players that we can rely on when they come in. And for me, Maguire isn't that player. Like I would be happy with selling him, but we, again, like you just said, we would need a replacement if we sold him. And I don't think we really have that lined up at the moment because we've already done so much in terms of, spending and stuff. And for me, I'm starting to get a little scared too with the whole ownership situation. I know we don't really want to talk about that much because there hasn't been a lot of news going around lately with the takeover. But I mean, when is it gonna end, man? Like, is it gonna end? Is it the Glazers want to stay? Is it they're trying to mend this relationship, which I think is they can't because they've already screwed up enough, and the fans are not gonna just somehow flick a switch and change into liking that. I don't know. I could never do that personally. Chris, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think it's over with them, and I'm just kind of concerned that they might be trying to stay or something.
Yeah, it's tough because we haven't seen enough really new like reports coming out, but it's starting to become a little bit worrying because we are spending a lot of money. We are not really selling a lot, and recently we've seen the club announce a new extension on their Adidas kit deal, which is like a 10-year extension, 900 million pounds, I think, or like that's a lot of money to be taking on a deal when you're in talks to sell the club. So it's like, why are you accepting this money from Adidas, but then you're going to leave? It's a confusing situation. Not enough people have been reporting on it because, frankly, I don't think anyone really knows what the hell is going on anymore. It's interesting. I don't know if we haven't seen anything from either side, really. The only time United has talked about it was when they said that we'll be looking for external investments back in like a year or 2 ago now. But we've seen things saying like Glazers are going to stay at the start of the season. Qatar is like backing off. We haven't heard anything from Ratcliffe's camp. I don't know. It's really frustrating. And I think the fans obviously deserve an answer, but if nothing's happening, then there's nothing to say, and it's just we have to wait it out. And I don't know. I hope it can get done soon, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, honestly, at the present moment.
Yeah. I mean, so the club came out and released a statement. They said, Adidas and Manchester United Football Club are delighted to announce the extension of one of the most exciting, seminal partnerships in world sport. Manchester United commenced a historic agreement with Adidas at the start of the 2015-16 season, reuniting with after 23 years of being apart. So Adidas for 10 years. Manchester United has just signed Adidas again for 10 years. 900 million.
900 million.
Wow. So yeah, Manchester United and Adidas have renewed their sponsorship for 900 million over 10 years. That's 90 million a year. That's more than any club in the Premier League. I think that's a play at the Glazers trying to stay and maybe increase the price before they head out. But who knows?
10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I want people to comment down below what they think. Do they think it's really Manchester United trying to, or the Glazers, sorry, trying to get more return on investment, which they would already get a huge return on their investment because they didn't even invest anything into it, which is just insane. And I heard even reports saying that they're trying to get 8 billion out of the club now at this point, which is just it's getting ridiculous, man. Something's got to happen. Like something just right now we're just in this stalemate, and it's just with a lot of these reports, and this is like world football. You see like Man City with the 115 charges, us with the internal investigation of somebody, and then the other thing, just a lot of this stuff is just very stalemate and takes forever, especially when you're talking about Manchester United. So for me, I'm starting to get a little concerned with the whole owner situation, but I still think that it's just they've gone too far, and they announced that the club is looking to be sold. So if they go back on it now, I think that would be a big mistake, and I think they know that. So
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see something happen soon. But I don't know, man. I'm getting a little concerned.
yeah, it's also kind of annoying because we've seen over the past like year with Ten Hag coming in from a footballing side, the club I think is moving in a good direction. I think we have a vision now. We've really been building a squad for Ten Hag. I think so. Like from like I said, a footballing perspective, the club's it's going in a good spot. But from the business and commercial side, it's nowhere near where it should be. And for us to be successful in the long term, your footballing side, so your manager, your players, and your commercial business side, your owners and your board, they have to work together. They have to be cohesive. And Ten Hag is not going to get all the decisions he wants from an ownership that doesn't have the footballing side as a priority. And that's the only thing. So as good as we can be on the pitch, we can never have a long-term successful dynasty that we want with Ten Hag when we have these people in charge. No matter how what good players we have or whatever, it's not going to work out when you have people like the Glazers in charge long term.
Yeah, I think just going off what you said, like the Glazers, although they do invest in terms of we've always had summer funds for the last however many years we've always been spending pretty big in the summer. A lot of the times it's not really smart spending though, which for me is worse than spending less. Because if you're like a Brighton, for example, they're spending way, way less, but they're spending it so smart. They're just spawning all of these South American wonder kids. And we're over here spending 85 million on Harry Maguire. And it's just, you can tell too, like some of the signings were just fully commercial. Like no offense to Cristiano Ronaldo, I love him, total club legend, but the signing didn't really make much sense if you think about it from a footballing perspective. And bringing him in was definitely a commercial play to try and make more money for the Glazers. They clearly don't care about the stadium as well. I mean, you've heard the numerous reports and stories about the stadium is breaking apart pretty much. And the water, whenever it's raining, it's just leaking through the roof and things like that. And so you saw Ronaldo when he was talking to Piers Morgan. He was just saying that nothing really changed since he was there before, which is just crazy because if you're trying to compete at the top level with the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, all these clubs have really good infrastructure and they're building their academies, they're building up their facilities, their stadiums are top tier. Like look at Tottenham Stadium. And then look at also, I don't know if you saw, Chris, but Manchester City just announced recently that they're building some sort of thing around their stadium. I forgot exactly what they're adding more seats to the stadium, then they're also building like some entertainment stuff around the stadium, which looked pretty cool, but it's just like, why can't we do things like that? And you saw when the Qataris were announced to be interested in buying Manchester United, they had plans to do things like that. So you want an owner who can do that. And these owners just haven't done that. They've neglected the club fully. And they're not really, it's just a cash cow for them at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that this whole Adidas deal for 10 years, which, damn, 10 years, man, that's a long time to lock in. But 10 years is kind of concerning because it's like, well, we're not going to be able to get out of that contract. And they're making tons of money off of it. So, I don't know. Also, Chris, I wanted to ask, it's kind of a side note question. What are your thoughts on the last couple of years of Adidas jerseys? Because for me, we had some really good jerseys with Nike when, Ronaldo was there winning the Champions League and we had Rooney and Tevez and all those guys. I really liked the Nike jerseys that we had. But some of the Adidas jerseys for me, kind of a no-go. Especially the one, which one was it? It was the one where Paul Pogba had the really good season, and it was the red that faded into the black. I think that was like 2016 or 2017.
Yeah. 16, 17.
Yeah, something like that. And then I don't know. For me this year, though, I will say the kits for Manchester United in this upcoming Premier League season look phenomenal, man. The home kit, I love the whole design. The team viewer logo is a little bit too big, but the rest of the kit looks amazing. And then the away kit that we just announced, some people don't like it, but I'll be honest. I think it looks like a fashion statement, bro. I might have to buy that one just because I'm not going to buy it till the Glazers are out, but I might have to buy that one just because it looks so darn nice, bro. It looks like a Gucci Adidas collab or something. It looks crazy. And then the rumored third kit, for me, it looks really nice too. It has the Devils logo, the Red Devil logo on the white, all white crest. Just it looks clean, man. So what are your thoughts on some of the jerseys that Adidas have given us lately?
Yeah, I think it's kind of really either hit or miss with them. They've come out with not so great ones, and I like you said, I do like the kits this season. I think my favorite one in the Adidas era is the 17-18 kit. It was the one when Lukaku signed, and that like the vibes were pretty good this season. That season, it was like it had a collar, and there was like the white strips on the ends of the sleeves. That was my favorite one. Least favorite one is probably 1920 with the black crest. I hated that kit. Or the 18-19 with the black stripes at the bottom. Like we've had some ugly kits, I will say.
Yeah.
With Adidas. But yeah, I think it's fine. Nike is okay too. The kits we had in like the late 2000s were really nice, but the early 2010s with Nike wasn't anything like super special. But I mean, $900 million is a lot, so I can see why we accepted that extension offer from Adidas, but I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Which kit do you like the best of this season's kits?
This season's...
And the third kit hasn't been officially released yet, but
yeah,
we've seen some mock-ups.
I kind of wish the third kit and away kit were swapped, just because the third kit is more just like basic, so we'd see it more often. Because you never really see the third kit that often being worn. I think we would look really good playing like an all-white kit like that. But I really like our home kit. I'd say that's definitely my favorite one, especially with the new. I don't know if you noticed the new Premier League font that they added, kind of slightly updated, and I think we have a new font for like European matches and like cup matches and stuff like that. I think it's gonna look good. It's not as like sharp or like I don't know what kind of font we used in the past for like cup matches, but I think it's gonna look good.
Okay. Yeah. For me personally, I think it's the away kit because I don't know. I'm getting into fashion lately.
Yeah.
Quite the fashionista myself. And the Gucci, I don't know. It looks like Gucci to me. Like it looks like a Gucci Adidas collab. I don't know why they didn't just come out together or something, but I really like it. I know some people are polarized on it, but I really like it. And I might have to cop. We'll see.
Have you seen the difference between like the authentic and the replica kit for the away? Like right here, there's like the replica. The authentic is nice because it kind of just seams in with TeamViewer, but the replica has this like
weird box,
hideous box that's like shaded in. It looks
and the color,
it looks horrible.
The green for the box doesn't even match the rest of the color.
They're charging like $90 on their website for it. Like come on now.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of excited for this season with the kits. Last topic, Chris. We don't really want to talk about it too much because it's kind of depressing, and we've been kind of avoiding it for a while. We haven't. I don't even know if we've actually. Have we really talked about it before on the podcast?
We've never brought it up.
Okay, so since we've made this podcast, this man has been not really part of the squad, but he who shall not be said, Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood is
other Mason.
Not Money Mason. Monster Mason. Monster Mason is he's been put in the news recently by Fabrizio. So basically, I mean, you all should be in the know. You know what happened, and there's been an internal investigation going on for forever. It feels like now with the club, and we thought it was Ten Hag who was part of this internal investigation, which is already busy. So I don't know why he would be part of it. But basically, Fabrizio Romano has just reported that the club will decide before the opening Premier League game on August 14th, and it will only be up to Manchester United, not Erik Ten Hag, which for me is kind of weird because although Erik Ten Hag, I kind of understand that, but at the same time, why does Erik Ten Hag not have a say in it? I know he wasn't there when it happened initially, but I feel like he should have a big say in the whole situation because I don't know. There are a lot of opinions, and look, I don't want to get too deep into it. Obviously, there's definitely some character issues with Mason Greenwood, regardless of what is truthful or not truthful. And what we saw, the evidence we saw, is obviously disgusting. But I don't know. I'd like to learn more of the facts of like what's truly going on behind the scenes because it's a very weird situation. But it's going to be interesting to see what the club does. And for me, Chris, at this point, it seems like the club are going to bring him back. What do you think? Because I feel like if we would have loaned him out to an Italian club, like we saw reports earlier in the summer, I think we would have brought him back into the club earlier and then loaned him out. But at this point, it seems like we're just gonna bring him to the club and not even loan him. What do you think?
Yeah, it kind of seems like we are gonna announce that he's gonna stay. I think with the whole Ten Hag thing, I think he's not included right now in the initial investigation, and then it's obviously going to be up to Ten Hag whether he plays him or not. If he does stay, whether he plays him or because like Ten Hag could say I don't want him after the club said it's okay to have him if you want. So I think ultimately whether Greenwood ever plays for Manchester United again is going to be up to the whoever's managing the club. So right now this investigation is behind the scenes stuff, and I just hope that because there's so much muddy water as to what's going on because we've seen just so many weird happenings with the whole story. I wish we could just have like a interview or just a sit down or a statement or something that clears up everything because everyone's split, and then it's like, does everyone know all the facts? Or I don't know. It's such a tricky situation for the club to be in and for everyone involved. So
it's definitely polarizing. It's such a polarizing.
It's very polarizing.
Yeah, it's just such a polarizing thing for not only the fans of Manchester United, but just a lot of other clubs are just trying to. I mean, I will say the rival fans. I don't think you should really listen to them because they're just trying to troll regardless of what the situation is. But for me, it's interesting to see. We saw the evidence of what was brought out, like the bruises, the recordings, those sorts of things, and I don't know when you see that it is kind of like, wow, that's crazy, like that's even shown, and that's just like, wow, like I don't really want to see a person if those are true, allegations are true, you really wouldn't want to see a person like that being given the platform he has, and
exactly.
And because people look up to these players and people look up to them as role models, and he's not really setting a good role model, especially even like look at more directly, you could say like the academy players, for example. Like if an academy player sees that and is like, oh wow, that's okay behavior. No, it's not. Like that's crazy. But we also like don't know all the facts because he is back with his former girlfriend, or not former, I guess, the girlfriend, Haz Robinson. I think that's her name, Harriet. Harriet, sorry. That was her Instagram handle. But he's back with her. They're getting married, and they're having a child together. I don't know if they already had the child or not, but basically, you've been seeing pictures on just different news outlets, like seeing them in public and stuff. And for me, it's just kind of crazy. I don't know. Like, did she actually forgive him? Is she scared of him? Or like we don't know all the facts. So it's hard to like. I see people on Twitter coming out, and this is kind of why we haven't really talked about it much, and I don't really talk about it too much on Twitter as well. A lot of people are just very, oh, he's horrible, throw him in prison type thing. And then also some people are like, oh, well, he's fine. She forgave him. Let's bring him right back into the club. Jolly good day. But for me, it's not as black and white as people are bringing it out to be. I think we need to know all the facts. And, what like I've said, what we saw from the evidence perspective was really gross. But I don't think people really know, like, if this internal investigation has gone on for this long, there's probably things that like we don't really know, and I'd like to think that even if he's gotten himself into this situation, so he's definitely not completely innocent if he's innocent at all. But I mean, legally he is because of certain things. I think the charges were dropped by her, so but we don't know like the full details, so it's hard to fully judge. So we don't really have any like full judgments on this whole situation. I think it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple days or weeks up until August 14th.
2 weeks. 2 weeks
because
today.
Wolves, we're playing against Wolves August 14th, and that's two weeks away. So it's going to be interesting to see what the decision is, and I don't really think there's a decision that can really benefit the masses when it comes to. I saw some like legal things saying that he can't just like cut his contract because he's legally cleared of charges and stuff. But at the same time, if we don't cut ties with him, there's going to be plenty of Manchester United fans who are going to be very pissed. And I can understand that. Like I can understand if a female Manchester United fan is really pissed about the situation. And so I mean I have empathy on all sides, but it's just I think people need to not like judge until we know the full story and all the facts. And hopefully this is dealt with in the right manner. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we've known the Glazers are not really capable of dealing with things in the best way. But I don't know who's like fully. I don't even know who's really in charge of this whole situation because, like Fabrizio said, it's not up to Erik Ten Hag. It's up to the club. But he didn't say who in the club or what sort of person is dealing with that. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. And my last thing, I have a question for you, Chris. If it's, let's say it's 2-2 in the Manchester derby and Mason Greenwood comes on in the 75th minute and in the 92nd minute we get a counterattack and Mason Greenwood scores a beautiful goal, are you celebrating? Because personally, I mean, he is a Manchester United player and I support Manchester United. And although like I'm not like a big fan of his anymore as a person, I'm still celebrating the goal because it is Manchester United. Like, what do you think on that? Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's a winner in a derby, but it comes again to what the consensus is with his relationship with the club and the fans. Because if he comes back, he may not be welcomed, and then he may end up wanting to leave. Like, why would he play for a club that hates him? That everyone hates him. So like, I don't want to say if he's like forgiven because you can't be forgiven for something like that. So it's like you either like did something or you didn't. It's so muddy and it's so hard to tell, but it's pretty much whatever the club decides. And then if he comes out and does an interview or speaks directly to the fans, because that's one thing we haven't seen at all, is him like personally addressing the fans or him answering questions or him getting involved at all, because he's been kept behind the shadows. The club doesn't want him out in the public. So I think until all of that happens, we can't really come to any conclusion on his like future impact for the club.
Yeah, and not to mention too, this is not any type of defense for him or anything, but I do think it is hard in today's day and age, if you are in the spot that he's in, to come out and try to even like say anything, because people are going to, if you see at the matches, people are going to like call him names and things like that. And so it's going to be tough, even just like dealing with the aftermath of the whole situation. Even if he is, brought back and they try to bring it in smoothly, I don't think it's going to be a smooth transition. And I don't know, like you said, like maybe the players end up not liking him again, and maybe we ship him off to a different country or something. Maybe he goes to Saudi Arabia. Maybe that'd be a good fit for him. But I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But regardless, I think we need to wait until the club has made a decision, and then we can kind of speculate. But it's just kind of hard when you don't know all the facts. And hopefully we're given some more clarity as fans as to what's going on, because we were just left in the dark in this whole internal situation. But we'll see. That's all we've got for you guys today. It was a long podcast, maybe about an hour or so. But yeah, I mean, it's a good podcast. We talked about Rasmus Hojlund. I'm super excited for him. Can't wait for him to be at the club. Going to have a huge impact this next season. And then also we just discussed some of the matches in the preseason, how it's kind of our form is kind of fluttered. But on the whole, I'm actually excited for the start of the season, because if you look at like last preseason too, we'd won the Bangkok trophy, the Century Cup, which again, like I've said on Twitter, the preseason does not matter. The results do not matter. We went undefeated last preseason and we were playing brilliantly. And then we played Brentford and we got smashed. And then we played Brighton and we got smashed. Yeah. And we played Liverpool and we didn't play great. I mean, we won, but we didn't play great. So it doesn't fully give you a full picture. I'm not saying obviously winning all the games preseason wouldn't be a bad thing, obviously, but just because we didn't win the last 2 matches doesn't mean we're not going to go ahead and beat Wolves. I think we're going to smash Wolves personally, because who do they even have now? Like, who's their striker? I don't even know. So we'll talk more about that when the game comes closer. But yeah, next week should be exciting too. We've got 2 preseason matches coming up. Hopefully Rasmus Hojlund makes his debut.
Yep. And
we see that signing announced. And then also Amrabat, hopefully he signs. I think we'll send a bid soon. Hopefully. I don't know. Chris, do you have any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get, Hojlund obviously is probably going to be sealed this week, signed. And then if we can get Amrabat before the opening game, that would be just like a quick side note. Contrary to last season, signing a defensive midfielder like a month into the season, in contrast to like a week before the start of the season, it's going to be good. Ten Hag will get all his main targets in before the season starts, which is what we've wanted. And hopefully it should be a better start the season, and I am excited. We do have 2 more preseason games, so we'll discuss those and then go a more full in depth onto our expectations for next season and how we're going to perform. So
and I think before the season 2 next week, we'll probably talk about what we think the best starting lineup would be to play in the first week or first couple weeks. So we'll get into that later. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure you guys please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You go ahead and add us on Spotify. You like the videos on Instagram. We got some reels and stuff. We're gonna have some more stuff coming out. We got a vlog that's probably up already, so we'll have some reels out of that. Tons of fun stuff. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys today. Have a great rest of your week.
Yep.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.